Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, I'm Neha Vadone studying in class 11. So this video is going to be a Q&A session wherein I'll be answering to all the questions that I had received in the comment section for my previous video. So the next question is, how should we focus on our study in this last month to our exams? Okay, so just 1 month left. I know this is a horribly terrifying period for everyone. You're scared about what's going to come up. You're scared about what everything is going to be like. But know one thing, that you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. You have one aim in life that you need to achieve, and this is just one tiny step towards it. So, I have never believed in cheating. I have never cheated in any of my class tests or exams until now. Because, if I cheat today, I'll get some 2-3 marks, and probably I'll score very good in the test. I'll get the results and I'll be very happy that I'd score very good and I know everything. But is that the reality? No. I don't own those marks. Those marks aren't mine. I had borrowed it from someone else. So that wasn't, I hadn't got those marks from my understanding, right? And it means that I was lacking some of the knowledge. That is why I couldn't answer to that. So instead of learning the thing that I didn't know, I cheated. And I got the marks. And that topic which I wasn't knowing is just left behind the same way. So, think you did the same thing. And after that, now you give your pre-boards. You cheat in your pre-boards. You get very good marks in your pre-boards. You're very happy. I scored good. And I know everything. I'll score good in my boards too. You go to the board exams. You're not allowed to cheat them. What are you going to do then? The first thing that strikes your mind is, I'm not going to be able to cheat. So my marks are going to get deteriorated here. First thing that strikes your mind, your motivation suddenly drops. You know that nobody else is going to help you, your motivation drops. And whatever you had studied, whatever you actually know, you start forgetting everything in the fear that you won't be able to copy one answer. And because of that one answer, you leave the other 20 questions that you don't know, that you know. So this is how cheating actually adversely affects you. You might get marks in the school level, but are you actually understanding anything from that? No. You aren't reflecting on your mistakes. You don't know where you're lacking. And if you don't know that, and in the exams, the board exams, if you don't get an opportunity to cheat, say your friend doesn't tell you any answers in the board exams, turns his back on you, what are you going to do? And it will be like the person who was scoring very high in the class, suddenly, where did the marks go? What happened to him in board exams? Right, this thing comes. So try not to have that thinking about cheating and getting the marks in the board exams, and just focus on your goals, your aims, and why you're doing it. And don't give up. For me, my aim is to become a doctor. I imagine myself wearing that white coat, and sometimes when I think of giving up, I'm like, no. If I give up right now, I won't be able to wear that white coat and save lives of people. And for that one reason, I keep working. So just keep that in mind. You're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. So the next question is, how to score good marks in English, maths and science? Okay, so when it comes to English, It definitely depends on practice. English is not something you learn in one night. And to score good in English, I would say that you need to be a very imaginative and creative thinker. Because English is all about imagining yourself in the character's place and learning something from it. You see that no chapter that we get in our textbook is just given to us like that. They have some meanings. Sometimes it can be well hidden, I know. I used to hate English for this one reason, that why can't you directly tell us what you mean? Why do you need to make us treasure hunt for all the things that the meanings that hidden in the chapter or the poem? But if you keep yourself in that character's place, imagine yourself. Suppose you're there, you're doing all this, how would you feel? And you just express your opinions in the answer. And from the last year, that's from our batch, the question paper includes many opinion based questions. Like, many questions come from the chapter Amanda, and there was one from Custard the Dragon. Yeah, many questions come from those which are opinion based. So for that, you will have to experience the poem yourself. You need to experience English. It's like a movie you're enjoying. Don't think of it as a burden. And if you're learning English uninterestingly, then there's no way you're going to score good in it. Sorry to say, but yes, you need to keep speaking in class, you need to keep answering in class, and whenever the teacher calls you up to maybe probably summarize the chapter or something, go forward and do it. Because once you start speaking, you start summarizing the chapters, the poems, you will understand the chapter. And understanding is the key to answering all the questions. Since I had understood all the questions, I used to note down the summaries of what I had understood. The next day, I used to go to my teacher and get it checked if I was right or wrong. Because in English, we have to make some assumptions. Some poems are not very clear. That is where even the teachers make an assumption, you make an assumption, everyone makes an assumption. But you need to get it checked with 2-3 people if what you're thinking is right or wrong. Because if you be in your mindset and you write the same answer in the board exams, the examiner might not be convinced sometimes if your imagination is running wild. So probably try sticking to the most basic opinions when it comes to opinion based questions, and write it in general. Like, you don't have to use very special phrases or something, high five language, not required. You can write in simple English, use the type of English that even a layman can understand. But one advice would be use proper proverbs, quotes in the beginning, in the body, and towards the conclusion of long answers. This will make your answer very impressive to look at. And the examiner, when he starts reading the answer with a quote and he looks that it is ending with a quote, he will know that you have a very good understanding of the chapter. And since you have understood it, you are able to link it with something. Coming to this, always link something with something. Like, maybe if you're giving opinion based answers, then try telling one of your experiences which has the same incident to this. In that way, you can show a connection, that you're understanding, you're connecting something to your real life and then expressing it, and you haven't just learned the chapter. So this is how you can show your understanding to the examiner. And when it comes to speaking in real, the person might understand. But how is the examiner gonna know if we are writing them things, right? So try to fool the person. try to make him or her understand or feel like you know the chapter perfectly. And that is why you're relating it to something. If you don't relate it, you just copy the chapter onto your paper. They'll know that it's rote learning and he or she hasn't understood anything, and they will certainly cut some marks. And even in the board exams, they do focus on spelling mistakes. If you have lot of scratches and many spelling mistakes, you will lose marks. So even if sometimes you can cheat a little, in the long answers, if you know you have written some spelling wrong, let it be. Don't scratch it or highlight it with your pen, full scratching on it or something. Just leave it, because they don't have time to read it word to word. And if you highlight it, definitely they're going to see it. Even if you know that something is wrong, leave it. Okay, the more impressive your paper looks, the good your handwriting is, the more neatness you maintain in your paper, is the better marks you'll be getting. So next question is about maths. Well, maths, formulas again, and science. Well, science is my favorite subject. And again, I relate everything that's happening to me. Now, suppose you're learning about circulation in your heart. Just don't see the book and try to remember the steps over there. Try imagining that it's happening inside you, right? Your heart is beating. How is it happening? Be curious to know. Now, know the locations of your superior vena cava, where your inferior vena cava is, where the aorta is, the ventricles, auricles, where the oxygenated blood comes from, deoxygenated blood goes from. Know everything. And if you start visualizing everything from science into your actual body, you will never forget it. Like, believe me in this, I do it myself. I read the things, I apply it to myself, I go to the exam hall, I start imagining, okay, my blood is coming from here. What is this? I write it down. Okay, the blood is next going down into the ventricle. What is happening? Diastole, systole, this, that. If you know and if you imagine it happening inside, you're just looking at it, you're writing it in the paper. You aren't actually learning anything new. And even in class 11th, we have truly horrifying cycles of photosynthesis and respiration in plants, where you need to learn so many chemicals that probably you haven't even heard in your life. So in that case, I applied this. I try understanding that, okay, this comes after this. If this is happening here, it goes to the mitochondria, it goes to the inner walls, then it goes to the F1, F0 particles, oxysomes and all. If you imagine the process, you're just looking at it, you're writing it. And even if you imagine it, just try closing your eyes and the whole story revolves in front of your eyes, if you have studied dedicatedly. So yeah, if you do that, probably you'll be able to score good. So coming to the final question, how should we be totally prepared for exams? Okay, so here comes the last minute tips and tricks. First of all, like throughout the video, I have been talking about reading my notes and notes and notes. So what do notes mean for you? Comment in the comment section below. What exactly notes mean to you? So many might think that notes mean the notes given by the teachers in the school, what you write in the school while they are dictating. Well, not exactly for me. For me, notes are something that when I read the textbook, I highlight on the important points and I write it separately. So I have basically two types of notes. One is my textbook notes and one is my notebook notes. So my textbook notes look something like this. I hope you're able to see it. So this is how I read, underline the things, and write down things on the sides. So this is one way I do it. And the second way I would do it is like this. Highlight what's important and write down the important things, the cycles to remember on the side. So this is how I make my textbook notes. So imagine I have my exam in 2 days. I just take my textbook, read the side notes that I have made, and I won't read each and every line of my NCRT just before my exam, because you definitely don't have time to do that. If you read the side notes that you have made, those are the actual important things that you need to learn from that certain page, and if you read that, the chapter is done. And when it comes to my notebook notes, they look something like this. So I take video lectures if I don't understand something. I write down the things, I make proper diagrams, I highlight the important things. So this is how I make my notes. Okay. And highlighting certainly helps, because if you see attractive colors somewhere, your mind gets focused towards that and the attention goes there, and that stays in your mind for a longer time. So try highlighting the things that are very important, because if you just have a glance, it gets stored in your memory very easily, because your brain is attracted towards different vibrant colors. And yes, the reference books, complete reading all the questions from reference books. Especially, I would like to suggest some reference books. I would have used, like I'd suggest you to use Oswald for SST. And well, to be honest, I had used 3 reference books for every subject. And I had completed reading all those reference books, all the questions in that. Sometimes they were very similar to each other, so I used to just skip those questions. But if there is anything new that you can learn, please don't try skipping it. If you find something difficult, don't skip it. Sit and work on it. Because if you find something easy, then you already know it, and that is why you're finding it easy. But if you don't understand something, you find it difficult. So there are multiple ways nowadays. You can have doubt sessions online. You have video lectures. You have your school teachers. You can message me your doubts. So try clarifying your doubts, and don't be in the confusion state of should I read this or should I leave it. Read everything that's there, because yes, it happens that bad luck follows us and the question we don't want turns up in the exam. So do that thing that there shouldn't be such questions left in your mind that I don't want this question to come in the exam, because yes, that comes in the exam. So yeah, revise your NCRT again, have a thorough reading of each and every line, understand what everything means, and read your reference books, read your notes, and finally analyze yourself that up to what preparation level you are. You know, it happens that we think, yeah, I know everything. You set to test yourself and you just can't make yourself to think about it. And another way, if you want to really learn something that's quite difficult for you, say SST, because that's what I found out from the questions, that everyone is facing some problems in SST. I was doing the same last year. Take a certain page and read it, take down a notebook and write everything that you had read in the book. And now you'll know that how much you remember from that. In this way, you're even reading it, you're writing it, and you're remembering it. And if you have missed some of the points, write it with black ink, highlight it, and read it once or twice. I'm not telling you to sit and practice for 100 times or something, once or twice, and you'll remember it. Last thing, before going to the board exams, just remember that it's nothing but a normal exam. It just happens in another school, in front of another teacher. That's all. It will be you and your classmates on your side. It will be a very comforting environment. Don't panic yourself. Don't get scared, because if you do that, your mind is going to black out. And if that happens during the exam, there can't be a worse situation. And even if that happens, just try relaxing. Sit quietly, close your eyes, sit for 5 minutes, drink some water, calm down. Again, everything starts coming back to your mind. So, okay, don't get scared. If you have prepared, then nothing is going to be difficult. And believe me, board exams are easier than our school exams. Okay, so with this, I'd like to bid adieu to all of you and wish you all the very best for your board exams. Thank you. Bye.